What is going on out there, peeps? All right, so already rocking and rolling still in Iraq. It's looking really good. Like I said, I'm expecting a sovereign nation again here real soon. A quick reminder that we have a Facebook group with the same name as the YouTube channel. In here, we talk about all kinds of things from Iraqi Dinar to Vietnam Dong, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as the second group we have that touches on current events as well as those things you might consider as conspiracies. All right, so let's get into the news. So, representatives present to the government four proposals to achieve urgent economic and financial reform. All right, so I'm just going to get to the 4 points. There's just a lot of back and forth in here about what they think, the reason why they need these things. Okay, so number one is first taking practical steps to combat corruption and overthrow large heads in the files, regardless of political or social party, that stand behind them and surround them with legitimacy and protection. And not only make rhetoric, unfortunately, as usual, it has an inevitable future ahead of it, and people's patience is almost exhausted, and they are no longer enduring energy. Okay, so we know about this. One of the things that the UN wants is for them to wean out the corruption. We also note that a huge part of the political blocs are backed by Iranian are they are actually Iranian puppets, and they're there to make the people's lives hell, to be honest with you. And a lot of them have been involved with corruption. So basically, some of the main targets that they're going after, as we are aware of, are seriously backed by people in the parliament. This, to me, would be another excuse to just go ahead and dissolve the parliament. That's what I would do. Number two, serious concrete steps must be taken to impose the prestige of the state, the rule of law, maintain order, and address armed gangs and outlaws without discrimination of favoritism. People were fed up with gangs at the expense of the state and the rule of the law. Well, yeah, we know there was a lot of proxy fighters out there. Most of them were funded by Iran and supported by some of the members of parliament because the people in parliament were backed by Iran. So yeah, they need to just do what's right for the Iraqi people and do away with those types of people in the government. I can feel them. We have the same issue here in the United States. We got a specific political party I won't name, but the Democrats who are all about destroying our country, and so I know what that's like. Number three, urgent steps must be taken in terms of improving services, whether on the health level or bypassing the corona crisis in the economic and financial crisis, and the resuming measures provided that the salaries of employees and retirees are not compromised. Well, we've seen some big steps about in that being taken. So let's hope that one of the things they want to do is borrow internally and raising the rate to make that happen. The fourth, the government must provide everything they can. They can convince the citizens of its seriousness and keenness to hold urgent elections, and not only that, their rejections of what is happening and happened to the recent elections, which were and are still experiencing unfortunate bad effects. So we know one of the things that Kademi promised when he first got in there is to hold elections as soon as possible. My guess is they might try to get this done this year. Okay. They are affirming by as for us as part of the legislative authority, we will we spare no effect in supporting and paying it and doing everything necessary for its success and its works and alleviating the suffering of our patient and our patient people. Sorry that sometimes I read these things too quick, but that's not it. It's the way they write them. When you read the articles, whoever's translating them into English, sometimes they're not putting the words down right. So when I'm reading them as I see them. Sometimes I'm quick enough to read ahead and then rearrange the words properly as they come out. But sometimes I'm not that quick. Okay. So anyways, we know that these are the four main steps that are taken. These are something we've talked about already many of times. So Parliament's session chaired by Halabasi begins. All right, so the media department stated that the parliament held its fourth session of the fourth parliament session, the second legislation year, the second legislative term, indicating that the members of attending are 166 deputies. Good. And lastly, here I believe Iraq informs America of completing participation for the strategic dialogue. Okay, so we know the strategic dialogue is coming up. I believe it's on the 11th, which is in 3 days from now. So what is this, on the Thursday? which would be their last day of the week. Remember, their Friday and Saturday is their weekend, so Thursday would be their Friday. Ministries of Foreign Affairs Hussein confirmed on Monday that completing participation for a strategic dialogue between Iraq and the United States of America. The immediate office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs stated in a statement, which the magazine received a copy of, met with the ambassador of the United States of America to Baghdad, Matthew Toller. Hey, Matthew Toller is the big dog over there. I'm sure what they're doing is ahead of time, making sure that all the ducks are in a row and just being prepared for the meeting that's getting ready to take place. Also, making sure that what the subjects about what they're going to talk about. At the beginning of the meeting, the American ambassador expressed his congratulations to the ministry on the assumption of his position as Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Iraq of Republic. All right. The foreign minister emphasized, according to the statement, the completion of the preparation for the run of strategic dialogue with America. Usually that it represents an important station that would frame the priorities of Baghdad and Washington. He stressed the necessity to continue the positive developments in various distinct aspects of bilateral cooperation. All right, so yeah, we know that this is a big week for us. It really is. There's a lot of things getting ready to happen this week in Iraq, so we will watch it closely. I'm curious to see what comes out of the meeting between Iraq and America. We also know that some big dogs are supposed to be there. We know people from Kuwait as well as Saudi Arabia are supposed to be there with the IMF. What I'm hoping that they're really going to be doing is putting together a strategy that would quickly give Iraq back its sovereignty. Okay, but in order to do that, we know that they have to have a recognized international currency. So this is going to be a pretty big week for us. I'm anxious to see what comes out of this. The parliamentary committee, the region, will hand over Baghdad within days the sum of oil as maturity of 25,000 or 250,000 barrels. So the Oil and Energy Committee in the House of Representatives said Monday that the Kurdistan region will hand over the central government the oil sum as of maturity, 250,000 barrels. We know this is the agreement between Kurdistan and Iraq. Iraq will be sending them money, and in exchange, the Kurdistan people will send over 250,000 barrels of oil. So it looks to me like they're just honoring that. Now, for a minute there, Iraq stopped sending the money over because they were dealing with a lot of turmoil. This was prior to al-Kadhimi getting into office. He is there now. And again, I can't stress this enough. It seems to me like every article that I read that's pertaining to what's happening with the Iraqi government and articles outside of that, al-Kadhimi seems to have his hands in about every type of cookie jar you can find. And that's what you want from a leader who's going to be going in there, doing what he can to straighten out what's happening in Iraq. And it looks like he's getting it done pretty easily with a lot of support. So, okay. These 4 steps are nothing new that we spoke about. These are all the things we know that had to take place. We know that they're working on the corruptions. For those you don't remember or were not aboard at the time, sometime last year in the summer, I believe it was around June or July, to show how serious they were about getting rid of corruptions, they brought in Interpol. And Interpol arrested like somewhere around 638 people. All right. These were all people dealing with counterfeiting money, money laundering, stuff like that. So that was the first big step. Then right before al-Kadhimi became PM, there was some paperwork filed on a lot of big members of parliament. I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 37 members. And that kind of shook up the parliament, to be quite honest with you, because I'm pretty sure they felt they were untouchable. And to have, al-Kadhimi come in before he's even voted in as prime minister and lay the smackdown on these people was a shock to them, to be quite honest with you. And we know that al-Kadhimi seems to be pretty seriously focused on getting what he wants for the Iraqi people as they need it. Because, he's not wasting no time getting things done. So very impressive, you guys. We look like we're all on the right track. Like I said, in order for them to be a sovereign nation, they must have a recognizable currency. So we are rooting for the people to recognize them as a sovereign nation so that we can get the currency recognized, and we definitely can expect a rate change to happen by then. All right, so it's all looking good like we thought, and as usual, there's exciting news. It seems to me like every bit of news now that we read, it seems to be going in a positive direction. Again, one last reminder, if you haven't already, come join us at Pimpy's Investment Chat. The link is in the description. We look forward to having you there. It's one of the fastest growing groups on Facebook. Alrighty? All right, that's it for now. You have a good one. Talk to you later.